Hello, and welcome to the Wellness Rock Show with your host, Stephanie Deal, where we dive deep into women's health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Together, we will discover through these 5 pillars how God designed our bodies to consume proper nutrition and how that applies to creating optimal wealth in our lives. Here we will unravel all of the education and expertise that you need to get your body, mind, and soul in alignment with where it needs to be. I am not a doctor and I do not provide medical advice. Please speak to your primary physician before starting or stopping any medications. All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm so happy for you guys to be tuning in this week, and we're going to jump right into it. We have a very special guest with us. His name is Nikolas Quest, and he is 21 years old, and his journey isn't just about shedding pounds. It's a transformative quest for self-discovery. Now at his 188 pounds, his goal of reaching 175 is so much more than a number. It's a badge of resilience. He's crushing milestones like it's his job. But listen, this isn't just his story. He wants to light a fire for your own transformation. So get ready because you're about to join a revolution. So isn't that an introduction? I'm so excited to have him here and for him to really share his story about how he really beat the industry in a way. So I'm going to let him introduce himself a little bit and we'll jump into it.
Hi, my name is Nikolas Quest. I've lost over 200 pounds and I would like to share my story. I have a really unique perspective and I think there's a lot of misinformation and I'm excited to get into it.
Awesome. Well, we're so happy to have you here today.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited for, I know you shared your story with me, so I'm excited for, everybody listening to hear your story as well and just see how you've truly made an impact, not only for yourself, but all the people who are to come after you and hear your story and for you to impact for them. So first thing first, we always like to do an icebreaker question with our guests so we know a little bit more about you. So if you could be any animal, what would you be?
I would be a wolf because they represent strength and they travel in packs. I feel like I'm a very family-oriented person and they definitely helped me on this journey and their support. Losing weight or just taking, your health into your own hands is very scary and I feel like my family and the people around me are a great support team. So I would say a wolf.
Wow, that's awesome. I really do love that. I haven't gotten that one yet. I love hearing people's answers and just hearing their own unique perspectives about what animal they'd be and stuff like that.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's awesome. All right. Well, you told us a little bit about your story, but tell us really what got you to that weight that you were. What weight did you start at and what weight are you at now? I know I shared a little bit about that, but just really take us through your story and what you do and why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get into it. There is a lot and it is a very polarizing, what I went through. So my highest weight was 426 pounds. Right now I am 188. I go in between 185, 188 right now. My goal is 175 and then I would say I want to build muscle after that. But what really made me hit rock bottom and lose the weight is just hitting rock bottom. What I mean by that is when I'm visually impaired. So this is what I mean by a unique perspective is I was losing my sight. Obviously, I got very depressed over it. I have a condition called Leber's congenital amaurosis. It's retinal degeneration. Only 500 plus people have the mutation that I have in the world.
Wow.
It's RDH12. And eventually I will go blind because of it.
Wow.
Now, obviously, any kid would be depressed over that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying at the time. Now I realize, it's a blessing in disguise. I'll get into that on how I interpret.
Interpret.
Yeah, my disability. But really, my mom took me into the doctor and said, my son is having these issues. I just wanted to really talk to someone. I saw a psychiatrist, unfortunately, and, don't get me wrong, I think that medication can help, but I think it should be used as a tool, not a Band-Aid for every single problem that happens in your life. So they put me on a bunch of SSRIs, which we all know are terrible for you, especially if they are not really treating the issue. It's for chemical imbalance, but at the end of the day, I really just needed to talk to someone about my issues. So antidepressants increase a hormone in your body called Ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. And I would just eat. I was depressed over getting bigger, and I gained 200 pounds within about, I would say, 16 months. I started high school around 200 pounds. I graduated at like 400 pounds. And then the pandemic hit, and I got all the way up to 426 pounds. I was pre-diabetic. It was just, I was getting really unhealthy. And I feel like losing the weight not only showed me like my, the future that I can now have, but it also just, it really changes your perspective on what you can do and what's possible. Because I was on those medications for all of high school. And yeah, we can get into that more, but that's basically how it all started. The weight gain was because of misinformation from the medical industry telling me that I need to be on something when, I just wish a doctor would have just talked to me or said, these feelings that you're having are valid and they're normal, and we don't need to put you on a bunch of medication because of it. Because at the end of the day, that medication destroyed my body,
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about you share kind of like what medications they put you on and like what you did, like how you started making your lifestyle better? Like what was the turning point to be like, okay, these medications are not working?
Right. So the turning point for me was one day I literally looked in the mirror. I had I'm going to get very graphic. I'm going to be honest. When you are that big, at the time I was 20, this is a year ago. I lost the weight within 15 months. So a little over a year. I would have my skin was always breaking out. I was having literal boils on my leg at 20 years old. I was just so uncomfortable. I could barely get around. And that medication, makes you sleep. I was on antipsychotics. I was on antidepressants, all because of depression and because I didn't want to, accept my disability. But there is time for therapy. They had me in therapy. Why not just start with therapy first? But they put me on a bunch of stuff. That medication really, when I spoke to my new primary doctor, they told me they really did, mess your system up doing that. And what's crazy is I had a test done at the doctor's and I actually have a very high metabolism. But when you are, even if you don't, that medication it slows everything down. It basically makes you sleep all day, especially for someone that doesn't need it, such as myself. And a lot of other people too. I think it's so sad. Me and you are both Gen Z. A lot of people our age are just not woke up to the fact, and, people of all ages all across the board. I feel like the media and just the way the world is nowadays, it seems like we need a pill with good branding behind it and a fancy name for everything, and that's just not realistic.
Right.
So I would say my turning point really, I know it was a long answer, but was just, I just had to take a risk. Some of the greatest successes in life are, risk-taking.
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy I did it. I literally detoxed off all that medication. I was shaking for 3 weeks straight.
Wow.
I would wake up in cold sweats because, which is not recommended, but I'm so happy. I'm just so happy I made the choice to actually create a better lifestyle instead of using pharmaceutical drugs to give me a false sense of reality and a false sense of a lifestyle that nobody should ever go through.
Right, absolutely. And I just kind of want to applaud you for that because, a lot of people would stay taking those medications because they're not educated. A lot of people do what they do because they don't know. They don't know any better. They don't know any different. So what did you start doing every day to really make your lifestyle better?
So after the medication detox, I first started, I went to my doctor. I told them what I did. And I go, hey, I really want to lose the weight. When I got off the medication, I think this is before I even changed my diet or anything, I lost 60 pounds after getting off all that medication within 3 weeks.
Wow.
Being off of it, yeah. And after that, my doctor gave me another medication, a doctor that I'm no longer seeing. It's basically like an Ozempic, or it's like a generic version of that. A lot of people are taking it to lose weight. And what's scary is there are a few studies out now. It's causing stomach paralysis. It's really not a safe medication to be on. We don't know how this stuff is going to affect us 30 years from now. I took that for 3 months. I lost about 40 pounds. It made me very sick. I was basically, I mean, what it does is it lowers your sugar intake, or like it lowers your blood sugar levels, and it makes you really sick, especially if you're a young person. It's just not, I mean, that medication's used for diabetics. We shouldn't be using it to lose weight.
Right.
And in the process, taking it from people that actually need it. So I feel like when a lot of people go into the doctors and they say, you know, how do I lose this weight? What does your doctor tell you? They say, eat clean, you know, get 10,000 steps a day. A patient that is, you know, not motivated in the first place, but even if you are motivated, that's not telling you how to lose the weight. There is reasons why we have cravings that we do for certain foods. There are reasons, you know, for a lot of the issues we have now. A lot of the issues that people have now, like diabetes and a lot of people's families, like that stuff is not normal, you know, with all the processed foods. That affects your body over time. I mean, it really does. And I just want to educate people on, you know, how to not only lose weight, but how to give you the tools to carry with you for the rest of your life for a happier, better life. I tell people all the time, my friends and family, there is one thing that money cannot obtain, and it's the most valuable currency, and that's time. And I think what really got me in the process of living a healthy lifestyle for life, you know, not just to lose the weight and just go back to what my old lifestyle was, is I get so many more years back on my life. You know, that's something you can't buy. And it's so beautiful to have comfort in the fact that I will, you know, be living a lot longer. I was 21 years old. I would have died by the age of like 30 realistically. I mean, I was a full-blown like borderline diabetic at 20 years old. So that's that.
Yeah. Wow, it's just like heavy.
Sorry, I know that was a lot.
No, it's okay. I'm glad that you're sharing it with everybody, because it's just like, it's like heavy to listen to, because it's just like, dang, like this is really going on around us.
Right.
But like, I'm in this industry, but I'm on the more holistic side. So like, I know what's going on behind the scenes, but to actually hear it and see it from someone who was in it and experienced it, like, it's a whole different ball game. So
yeah, because a lot of people will never break out of it, you know, and it's a sad truth. You know, we go to doctors that have these nice degrees, but sometimes some people, like, it's at the end of the day, big pharma is a huge, I don't want to use the word scam, you know, but I think that, well, I know that at the end of the day, it's a money-making industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
Why would they actually teach patients how to correct their health the holistic way when it's making them, I mean, billions of dollars in healthcare every year?
Right, absolutely. And, you know, like, it's never to like bash anything on this podcast, but like, there's a time and a place for medicine. But like, there's so much healing within our bodies and ourselves that we're capable of, and God is capable of healing, and like, there's so much within us already that we can heal. Like, yes, there may be a time and a place for medication, but when it comes down to it, like, it really comes down to like what we're feeding ourselves. What are we doing to ensure that we're living a healthy lifestyle? Like, and that's what this podcast is all about. That's why I'm so happy Nikolas is sharing his story, because it just goes to show that like what you put inside of your body comes out. What you put in always comes out, whether it's like through your physical or your mind. Like, you know,
that's another thing. People don't realize how much it affects you mentally. I mean, it really, I want to go into that more, but it really does change your outlook when you start eating right, because you genuinely feel better. Now, I used to never believe it, but it's because there's a certain way on how to eat right, and I would really like to go into that.
Yeah, how do you, like, what does your typical diet look like?
So this is the thing. When a lot of people start diets, they are obsessed with eating clean. They eat a lot of foods that they say they can never have. Don't get me wrong. I'll have a Dairy Queen ice cream maybe like once a month. You know, that's not the issue.
Right.
The issue is we have these things marketed to us, these keto chips, these keto cakes, keto this, carnivore this. And if you look at the ingredients, those chemicals are